Thank you, Senator. And I want to follow on with your comments because I too share the concern that at a time that we want to maintain that leadership role globally, our global competitiveness, that the advances that we have made in our research and development be allowed to continue. The U.S. National Science Board released a statement last month stating that China will surpass the U.S. in total research and development expenditures this year. And when you think about the strength of our national labs, and they are unparalleled in quality, I think we recognize that. But what we've seen is China really start taking the lead here in commercializing many of the clean energy technologies that we actually developed first here in the United States. And so know that this is something that I think we need to continue as a priority. So maybe a little bit broader than Senator Cortez Masto has framed it, with a focus on just that budget. How do we ensure, Mr. Garrish, that the U.S. does remain globally competitive in developing, commercializing, and exporting the technologies that are developed through these DOE programs, so that we can continue to be the leaders when it comes to these clean technologies that are going to help us from many different perspectives, but most certainly as it relates to our environment?
Yes, thank you for the question. One of the things that is occurring at the department is there is considerable work right now in collaboration with a number of organizations around the world, and that will continue. And what we need to do is emphasize the relationships to make sure that we continue our global competitiveness. But for instance, there is a clean energy ministerial coming up in May. This will be very important. We need to continue to emphasize the importance of that. There's a G7 coming up in October in Nova Scotia, and this will be important for that event. And the IEA is also a very important organization, and we have a role in that. And what we need to do is continue to advance this concept in the process of governance of that organization, where we are large contributors, and it will be important for us to make this one of the priorities for that organization.
Well, thank you for that, and I appreciate you mentioning the IEA. We had Dr. Birol before the committee here in early January as head of the IEA, and he provided some pretty compelling testimony. You know, his 4 upheavals in the energy sector, I keep repeating as I move around, but I do think it's important that working with IEA in your position will be important, and glad to hear you're placing a priority on it. Mr. Campos, as you, I'm sure, know, Alaska is home to half of the tribes in the country, and well, you may have certain experience in the West working with our tribes. I am a firm believer that you get no better education than by going and visiting, being in the villages, in the communities, and seeing firsthand. So I would ask that after you are confirmed, that you would hopefully consider a trip to Alaska to meet with our DOE employees. It won't take you long to find them. We only have 2, and they are in the Office of Indian Energy. We have been pushing for years now to bump that up. They actually doubled the number, because for years we were literally an office of 1 for again, a state that's the size of 1/5 the country and has half the tribes, and we had 1 DOE individual. So I would hope that I would have your commitment to not only come to the state, but to work through the Office of Indian Energy as they seek to facilitate grants to tribes to assist with the development of energy solutions. As you know, in in parts of rural Alaska. We have the highest energy costs in the country, even higher than Hawaii. And not that we want to arm wrestle for first place here. We all want to work to lower them. So I would ask that you help us in that regard.
Senator, thank you for the comments. I will assure you today that I will make it a priority to visit the great state of Alaska and visit these individuals, the two individuals in particular that you've mentioned. It is my intention to make sure that we find a way that all states, including Alaska, get the proper resources and attention. So it's my promise today that I will make sure to visit Alaska and the tribes.
Good. Well, I appreciate that, and we will be happy to work with you in your new capacity and offer suggestions as to some of the places that you might want to visit to get a real understanding as to some of the challenges that we're facing. So thank you for that.